California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling his city's homeless encampments unacceptable, which is odd since he's the guy who, made them acceptable, turning sidewalks into red carpet events for drug addicts, thieves, and unemployed CNN anchors. On Monday, he urged cities to ban the camps from sidewalks, parks, and other public areas. So after years of denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it.
I was on KBLA yesterday, with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, who do you want to run for president? I mentioned, I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know.
Greg Gutfeld and Bill Maher didn't just roast Gavin Newsom, they turned him into political confetti. With sarcasm sharper than California's tax spikes, they shredded his obsession with optics and his track record of polished failure. His speeches, glossy. His results, non-existent. Gutfeld and Maher didn't critique, they conducted a full-blown comedic demolition. If you thought his hair was slick, wait till you see how smoothly they dismantled his entire career.
Dems are now the party of disorder. Turns out the only system they had was wokeism, and it rotted any basic principles the party had to begin with. Which is why, like Gavin himself, they're left looking at 2028's hopes going up in flames. And this time, no one is going to help them.
See, today, the Trump administration, they talked about the fact that California had a rule that schools cannot be required to notify parents if their kids in school have changed their gender, their pronouns. That's the kind of thing, even though it doesn't affect a lot of people, that makes a lot of people go, well, you know what? That's the party without common sense. Now, if that's your state, how are you?
Well, I just disagree with that. I mean, the law was you would be fired. A teacher would be fired if a teacher did not report or snitch on a kid talking about their gender identity. I just think that was wrong. I think teachers should teach. I don't think they should be required to turn in kids. And by the way,
we're talking about their parents. How can you snitch? The idea of a snitch and a parent to me doesn't compute.
Well, I don't. But what is the job of a teacher? It's to teach. If Johnny's talking about some identity issue or some issue about liking someone of the same sex, it's the teacher's job.
Gutfeld didn't walk into the studio. He stormed in like California had just passed a new tax on sarcasm. Newsom was the golden goose of hypocrisy, and Greg came armed with every roast in the arsenal. He launched the Barbie Governor Chronicles, saying Newsom looked like a Malibu politician doll, plastic charm included, but missing the instruction manual for common sense.
Meanwhile, Newsom lurks outside the White House like a greedy relative in the parking lot of a hospice. Maybe he is the perfect replacement for Joe. Just like him, the corruption is baked right in.
Outside the White House, Newsom lurks like a greedy relative at a hospice, waiting for Joe to fade out. Maybe he is the perfect replacement. Just like Biden, the corruption comes pre-installed. Gutfeld described Gavin as the first politician to turn an entire state into a luxury wine commercial, where governance takes a backseat to vibe curation. Homelessness was exploding, crime was rising, but Newsom was too busy spritzing Febreze in a burning house and tweeting about the ozone layer while stepping over syringes on the sidewalk.
Denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it, which is like putting on a condom as you're leaving a whorehouse. Who hasn't?
What's a condom?
But as always, when a far-left Dem runs for national office, he acts like a Republican. This is where the left is really pro-trans. Suddenly, they grow.
Gutfeld quipped, "How do you care so much about carbon emissions while ignoring the human emissions all over San Francisco?" He mocked the contradictions, a man who talks like a global savior but governs like Lex Luthor's eco-conscious cousin. Gavin lectures farmers on water while pouring billions into vanity projects no sane Hollywood producer would touch. It was a roast with no breaks.
He's an evil snake motherfucker. I don't know how to describe it. You see what he just did there, and Bill got it right. Somehow it's snitching if the parent finds out. If the teacher says, oh, your kid has been going by other names and changing pronouns and dressing up this way, you don't know about that as the parents. That's the snitch. It's the parent's job to raise the child.
Greg joked that Newsom's hair had more structure and probably more funding than California's entire education system. He's got more gel than good ideas, and you can almost hear it crunch under the weight of his ego. Every time Gavin talks, it's like a TED Talk given by a guy who just discovered Wi-Fi. Big hand gestures, big words, but no substance. It's like uploading an encyclopedia into a Botoxed fortune cookie. If you're tired of counting sheep, try listening to a Newsom speech.
So Newsom is fed up with tent cities, the crime, the urban decay? No, he's not mad about that stuff. He's mad you noticed. It's like a criminal telling a jury he's sorry he robbed 25 banks when he's just sorry he got caught on the 26th. Because this isn't some spontaneous crisis. It's a man-made disaster like Chernobyl or Fox and Friends.
And then came climate change, Newsom's favorite prop. Gutfeld painted the image. Gavin standing in front of a burning Walgreens, smoke in his perfectly whitened teeth, blaming climate change for everything from arson to rolling blackouts. He joked that Gavin would credit solar panels for his hair highlights if you let him ramble long enough. Pandemic hypocrisy. Oh, Gutfeld covered that too. Gavin told Californians to stay home, then booked the best table at the most exclusive restaurant. He didn't just break his own rules, he pirouetted over them with a wine glass in hand while the state emptied out like a sinking cruise ship full of bureaucrats.
So it was looking bad there for a while, and we still don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff. Yeah. And then whenever I read 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds. Right. No one ever asked you about almonds. I see today the Trump administration, they talked about the fact that California had a rule that schools cannot be required to notify parents if their kids in school have changed their gender, their pronouns. That's the kind of thing, even though it doesn't affect a lot of people, that makes a lot of people go, well, you know what? That's the party without common sense. Now, if that's your state, how are you?
Well, I just disagree with that. I mean, the law was you would be fired. A teacher would be fired if a teacher did not report or snitch on a kid talking about their gender identity. I just think that was wrong. I think teachers should teach. I don't think they should be required to turn in kids. And by the way,
we're talking about their parents. How can you snitch? The idea of a snitch and a parent to me doesn't compute.
Well, I don't. But what is the job of a teacher? It's to teach. If Johnny's talking about some identity issue or some issue about liking someone of the same sex, is the teacher's job.
Gutfeld said the only booming industry left in California was U-Haul, and even they were running out of trucks. Enter Bill Maher, fresh from a dinner party where someone dared to mention Marxism between bites of kale. Maher called Newsom the physical embodiment of what liberals think competence looks like. Beneath the Ken doll exterior, empty green slogans and high-priced guilt trips. Maher said Gavin speaks like he just got back from a soul-searching retreat but forgot to actually find a soul. He smells like progress, but it wears off faster than a Whole Foods coupon.
They like the show, okay?
And the man who made it acts like he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It's pure government grift, shoving you down a flight of stairs and then making you pay for the handrail. We've been lied to for years that homelessness is all about affordable housing. Fentanyl isn't the problem, it's that loan officer at the bank. Yet as we walk to work, we never saw families or kids, just men. So strung out on fentanyl, they look like they were playing Twister.
Maher mocked Newsom's obsession with power rationing, treating electricity like a dangerous drug while charging up every conference room he visits. How does a state with that much sunshine manage to be so dark, both literally and politically? Maher asked. Gavin's policies were like amputating a leg to treat a hangnail, over the top and completely useless. His presidential aspirations. Maher said Newsom is the reality show contestant convinced he's winning, even as the audience begs for someone to hit the eject button.
See, Newsom wasn't just ignoring the problem, he enabled it because Dems were in a woke crouch, terrified of their loony base. But now that he's seeing the White House, he's got a brand new act, a common sense centrist. Just a soccer dad in khakis, fed up with crime and chaos. It's all bull. A costume, a political drag show, and the kids this drag queen is reading to are the...
Maher lit into Newsom's education record. California schools rank somewhere between disaster and please homeschool your kids. But Gavin kept touring other states like a substitute teacher who can't control his own classroom. His crisis leadership. Schedule a golden lit press conference, say something poetic, then vanish before questions. Maher compared the state's homelessness strategy to a game of whack-a-mole, but instead of a mallet, they use taxpayer grants, and the moles just move a few blocks down. Gutfeld added that Gavin tosses money at problems like a DJ flinging glow sticks in the dark, flashy, but totally pointless.
It's like the wildfires. Gavin blames climate change when it was his corrupt bureaucracy. Since the Palisades fire, which destroyed 6,000 buildings, only 4 permits have been issued for rebuilding. Did climate change cause that? Hell no. So like the fires, Newsom let homelessness run wild. He allowed tens of billions of dollars to be swallowed up by a maze of consultants, nonprofits, and bureaucrats who created poop.
On crime, Gutfeld said Newsom was like a lifeguard warning swimmers about backstroke form while the pool fills with sharks. Under his watch, California turned leniency into law and accountability into a fairy tale. Steal a car. You're not a criminal. You're part of a progressive social experiment, Greg joked. Maher followed up. Gavin's solution to crime was hugging the problem and hoping it went away. The media wrapped around him tighter than vegan yoga pants. When he tripped, they handed him a mat and called it a journey.
I feel like the last couple of years you've purposely picked this fight with the red states. I mean, the DeSantis. Yeah, but I don't want to live in the Civil War country.
I agree with that.
You know what? Well, but you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, this is a blue state and that's a red state. Yeah. And I don't want to live in that country. I like Florida.
I'm with you. And by the way,
as for Gavin's signature smugness, Gutfeld called it California's only renewable energy source. He's got the face of a guy who corrects you on the difference between gelato and ice cream. Smug, unearned superiority with a splash of almond milk. Greg said if smugness could stop wildfires, Newsom would be the hero California never deserved. Maher wrapped up saying Gavin was the love child of good intentions and terrible execution. He promises the moon, delivers a glow stick, and acts surprised when people are still sitting in the dark. Maher compared him to a $20 avocado. Polished, pretty, but ultimately disappointing.
Californians used to sell maps of celebrity homes, not landmines. Now, instead of sightseeing, tourists play hopscotch so their shoes don't get hepatitis. And when residents complain, they're called cruel. And now we're supposed to believe Gavin? Hell no. All the problems of the last decade were based on his and his party's.
And yet, they weren't done. Gutfeld and Maher weren't just mocking a man, they were mocking a symbol. Newsom represented the coastal elite machine, powered by buzzwords, funded by fantasy, and built on polished failure. Gutfeld smirked and said Gavin's legacy would be a bronze statue of himself holding a reusable shopping bag while the world around him burns. He governs like a guy who read the Tesla manual but tried applying it to a dump truck. Maher closed with this. Gavin's dream California looks like a Whole Foods-sponsored utopia but smells like composted decline. Between the self-congratulation, the delusion, and the elegant collapse, the punchlines practically wrote themselves.